But then the other kids are just turned into fucking gambling addicts and just do these things that are just for tickets.
Yeah. You leave and like an hour later, they're just like smoking a cigarette and pulling a slot.
Smoking a cig with a big plastic cup, getting Crown Royal and Cokes.
I'm going to hit soon. That's just math. It's just math.
That's all they're doing. And then so they're all bent out of shape on the tickets. And then you get in there and the tickets aren't worth their fucking... Anyway, I have digressed. I will undigress now.
Sure.
Okay, so record the intro now.
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads. We love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey, hey, Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take.
All right, Matt, we are back live via Satellito. Here we go. So we got we got a nice episode for you today, listeners here. Matt has the idea. Matt, why don't you tell us how you want to get into it, and then I'll obviously round us out as we dive in here.
Yeah, you bet. This was kind of an outgrowth from a social media post I made. And the idea of the social media post was like, dads, you got to be able to take the kids for a night or even a few nights or even a week when your wife needs to leave town. Like, if you can't hack that, like, come on, step up. It was meant to be a little bit of a spicy post. Got a few forms of pushback that were fair. Some guys were like, hey, my job, like, I could just never do that, which is totally fair. Every family works different. One of the notes that I thought was the most interesting, because in the post I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, it may not all go like perfectly. You might have macaroni and cheese for dinner, but that's the fun. It's like dad's rules, bedtime is like crazy. It's all kind of the pushback that I got from this mom was like, I don't like the idea of that there's separate rules for mom and dad, because that's actually not that great for kids. You need more of a united front. Really what I meant in this context was more about like it's single parent rules. Like it's a little bit Wild West when I'm out of town too and it's just my wife. I thought it was a good topic because I started to think about that idea that like, yeah, in some ways my wife and I do think a ton about having a united front. In other ways, I think it's good that we're different people and we have different instincts and our kids do have a little bit of a different experience when they're with my wife versus with me. I thought that would be a great, like we're always doing, we're looking to make things more complicated than it's one or the other. But I thought that was kind of an interesting topic of like, where do you need to be as one, you and your partner? And where is it maybe actually good that like, no, my wife's a little more this way, I'm a little more this way.
Yeah, love it. And before we get into that, let's do the little appetizer, the little amuse-bouche. When you're a single parent for a weekend, if you are normally a double situation. I'm going into it right now. My wife just left last night on a red eye. It's top of mind. Yeah, I feel like it's not, here it is. That commenter was kind of right. It's kind of a little bit of both. I feel that when my wife and I are together, we are a united front. We got to do things together, got to have her back, snitches get stitches, it's me and my wife, we're going to, have each other's back.
We ride together, we die together.
Yeah. With, on the weekend, I mean, on a solo weekend, I kind of feel like all bets are off, for me at least. So it's like, we don't usually do like Chinese food or pizza unless like, oh, we're coming back from something and, we can't really do it and we got friends coming over. Let's order a pizza or a couple pizzas or something. Whereas this, I feel like, ooh, what could I do? We could go to like Dave and Buster's. My wife doesn't like Dave and Buster's. It's sensory overloaded. It's annoying. It's kind of annoying for me too, because the kids usually cry as we've said upon exit.
I still want to make that Dave & Buster's commercial, just a shot of the exit with just sobbing kids coming out.
Well, it's too much pressure because by the time you have to leave, then they go into the ticket redemption center. And not to mention the whole time, if you let your kids go uninhibited, certain kids like that are into the present moment will play like shooting games. Great. Okay, cool. Get their cortisol up. But then the other kids are just turned into fucking gambling addicts and just do these things that are just for tickets.
Yeah. You leave and like an hour later, they're just like smoking a cigarette and pulling a slot.
Smoking a cig with a big plastic cup, getting Crown Royal and Cokes.
I'm going to hit soon. That's just math. It's just math.
That's all they're doing. And then so they're all bent out of shape on the tickets. And then you get in there and the tickets aren't worth their fucking... Anyway, I have digressed. I will undigress now.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to digress. But so, I feel like you do have kind of carte blanche to do, hey, what are we going to do? Let's do it. Like, you want to sleep on the floor in a sleeping bag?
Yeah.
Do the stuff that the other partner maybe doesn't want to do. That's a little bit wild. And then you clean up. My wife is different though. When she is solo, she holds the line. It's just a normal fucking 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Like nothing changes. It's not like maybe she'll get takeout. Maybe, but I don't know. So maybe that's what that commenter was saying, is kind of like it got convoluted between, because I think sometimes moms maybe don't have that type of leeway. If it's like, oh, what, you can't handle your kids? You got to like have takeout every night, blah, blah, blah. Societal pressure is like, well, mom, what's the difference? The dad's not there. When the dad's not there, people are like, oh, do you need any help, Max?
Yeah. There is some of that. Like,
what can we do to help you?
Yeah.
Your wife's not. I'm like, I got it. I mean, we will be,
I went to school. I went to school one day to pick up my daughter, and this mom who I had not talked to about any of this, she was like, I hear you're solo parenting. And I was like, from where? Like, and there's like, how is everybody talking about this? And I just kind of said to her, I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm a little tired, but it's fine. Like, I leave town sometimes. I expect my wife to be able to do this. So what the fuck?
And also, we've said it before, it's actually strangely easier, or not easier, but it's easy because there's no, like, not the issues that my wife and I have, but like the things that are like difficult are when we share responsibilities, and then we always need to coordinate. Who's doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Oh, I'm doing that. Oh, I didn't know I was doing that. I'm doing that. Oh, I got to do that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like, there's nothing worse than something catching you off guard. You think you were going to do something. I was going to go to Home Depot and do something in the garage. And it's like, oh, now I got to go to this fucking birthday party at a trampoline park. Like, that's not
the trampoline.
Whereas now,
as my daughters call it.
Now I know exactly what's going on this weekend. I got 3 birthday parties.
Oh,
and shit. But it is what it is. Anyway.
You only got the one. Just one for us.
Find some studies here to round us out as we're diving in.
Yeah. Because I think the broader topic about like, what are the things that it's important for your kids and you and your wife be really consistent about? And what are the ways in which it's like, okay, and maybe even good for them to have one parent who's more of a planner and one parent who's more spontaneous. Parents that have slightly different relationships to physical risk, things like that,
Yeah. Now that we've had the amuse-bouche, this is the appetizer. So basically, here's just a smattering of studies to round us out as we're diving in here. So one, I'm not even going to find the actual study. There's hundreds of studies that just say, look, as long as you are loving your kid, the child feels that they are worthy of love, you're nailing it. Okay, like don't.
You should really only have done 1 7-second episode of this show. It should have just said that. Be like, all right, we're out,
Is
guys.
your child, when your child goes to bed, do they think that mom and dad love them? Nailing it. So none of this fucking matters. But if you want to go deeper, here's the appetizer. I'll actually give you a little bit of an end around here. So we'll start with this one I was going to do second. So basically there was a study that was pretty interesting that everyone knows that study. The study's about authoritarian, permissive parenting, right? So basically authoritative, we said many times is rules, and there are frameworks, but love and nurture within, full transparency around those rules. But then there are consequences. Permissive, anything goes, kids kind of rule the roost. And authoritarian is just like hyper control and not a lot of like, sometimes the rules aren't really set. And there's sometimes borderline psychological warfare in there where it's just like, it's expected that you should not a ton of love and nurture. So there's all these studies that say like authoritative parenting is very closely associated with positive outcomes for children of all ages. There's this other study that looks at this, but looks at the two parents, when maybe parenting styles differ. What is strange though in this study is that 2018 study, parenting styles don't usually differ that much. Like for the most part, they saw a lot of correlation between
parents kind of get on the same page. It's a fair amount of friction if you don't. Like there is an incentive within the marriage to like be fairly aligned. Yeah.
But differences do happen. When they do have small differences, it's usually in like positive parenting and then the rule setting. A lot of times mothers would lean a little toward an involvement. Fathers a little bit more towards discipline and rule enforcement. There's other research that suggests that maybe that can emerge later, like bigger differences as you approach later years. But what's interesting is that when the styles diverge, the outcomes kind of depend on the mix. So typically when you have the same parenting style, it seemed to amplify the effect. Two authoritarian parents was the worst outcome. Like if both parents are fucking slamma-jamma dunking on you all the time, like not good. Yeah. Two authoritative parents associated with the best outcomes. But sometimes there was like I don't know how to say this word, but it has the root word compensatory effect. Mm-hmm. And it would basically kind of balance it out a little bit. So if you have like an a-hole dad or mom, if the other one would sometimes like go into more authoritative, and that would dampen that effect, and it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, that's
it kind of like was like a neutral outcome.
You even hear that sometimes with grandparents, that like one really, really, really good nurturing like authority figure in a kid's life can make a huge difference, even if it's not one of the parents.
It's just like if you have nothing, like no grounding force, that can be associated with pretty poor outcomes. And so another study, just to continue to round us out, get cue ball-esque, Mr. Clean here, this is a weird one, okay? But it's going to give a little bit of permission to parents as to maybe why sometimes we're harsher. And I feel like a lot of times social media or society will kind of like point to us. And even, these two slapdicks on this fucking program always like looking at ourselves like, oh, what can we do better? How about,
All the slapdicks. Yeah. I don't use that one enough. That's a fun thing to say. Yeah.
Comes to the desk from friend Rory Crawford. It's great. Great word.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So this study examined like genetic and environmental influences on harsh parenting. So this is a study from 2015. And basically it took all these like adopted kids in these new parents. They also looked at the birth mothers of these babies. Mm-hmm. So somehow they got access to that. Mm-hmm. When the birth mother had, a good temperament, like whatever that means, they were like nice people. They were like nice and agreeable. Uh-huh. Then the dads were not assholes of the adopted dads. So what this is trying to say, which is so fucking weird, is that if you have an easy kid, the dads were not assholes.
Yeah.
As much. So it's giving a bit of, some of the understanding. If you ever are harsh on your kids, like we always look inward because that is the only thing you can change, right?
Yeah.
And it has to start with us. But this is a strange study that some fucking aggro dad must have made. Fucking.
It's the kids. It's the fucking kids. That's why I'm an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Daniel Shaw, Gordon Harold, these guys, fucking David Reese.
Guys.
Fucking, anyway, no, I'm kidding. This is probably really good research, peer-reviewed stuff. But what it is saying is like, look, if you have an easy kid and you have, two easy kids and you're just this great dad, it's kind of like, okay, I mean, you're not in the major leagues, bro. Like try, when you're a great dad or a great mom and you adopted a little hellion and you can still be not a harsh parent, then that's. So anyway, there was a correlation.
The other interesting thing that study speaks to is a thing that like, it's just an uncomfortable truth. It's like how much of brain development happens in utero and in the very early stage of life. 'Cause theoretically, like a kid being easy of temperament, like part of that's genetic, but part of that's also nurture. I mean, what we know now is that like the distinction, like trying to make nature and nurture like a binary is like opposing things doesn't make any sense. Like basically everything about us is a combination of our temperament and like our genetic predisposition, but what parts of those genetics actually get expressed and fully realized and like develop powerful neural pathways, that's experiential, right? And so that's happening for babies while they're still in utero. So it is interesting. It just speaks to the level of impact that the birth mother has, even though she's not actually going to be the mother who's raising that child.
Now, with that said, that's nature going deeper into nurture. That same study about the adoptive families, just to continue to realize all this research that I've done here, is the marital quality mattered. So better marriages linked to less harsh fathering. I don't know why they look just at the fucking dads. Friggin' these guys are aggro. Anyway, and then the parents' own negative temperaments predicted harsher, more hostile parenting in both the moms and dads. So
that makes sense.
It's like, it's just a milkless summary. Like, sure. Talk to your partner. If you guys are both total assholes, I mean,
that's not going to help you. This episode is brought to you by Violet Archer, the video book. What's a video book? Yes. So, Max, you know how like more and more people like watch their podcasts, but you kind of only partially watch it? It's kind of calm. It's something that's on, but you're not glued to it. Well, that's what a video book is for kids. This thing, the average episode of Cocomelon, we looked this up, it cuts like every 2 seconds. It's fucking stimulus overload with the theme song. This cuts average cut every 17 seconds. It's a calm viewing experience. Check it out. Violet Archer. It's a mystery. I wrote it. Max created all the images for it. His half sister did the motion graphics. There's music. There's sound design. The Violet Archer is played by Caitlin, none other than Caitlin Murray of Big Time Adulting, everybody's favorite mom. We're so proud of this thing. We hope you like it. Where can they find it, Maxie baby?
Well, you can check the show notes for violetarcher.co and we can direct you there. If you want to watch it, you can check it on YouTube. Search Violet Archer. You can also, if you're listening to this podcast on whatever your platform is, it will be on that platform. So just go to the search bar and type in Violet Archer. If you're in the car, you want to listen to the audio only version, you can do that. But yeah, check it out.
If unlike Max, you are able to read, books available on Amazon.com.
So now that we're rounded out, let's talk about what it looks like, the nuance that is not in the studies. We do know that as long as you both provide love and whatever, you're nailing it. So don't worry about it. But like there are those things where kids play the parents off each other. Those situations where you have the one like authoritative parent and then the other one that's maybe a little more permissive. Again, the thing we always say about permissive parents, it always comes from a place of love. I mean, the authoritarian fucking a-holes, right? Like, sorry.
Well, the permissive may come from a place of love. It also may come from a place
of course, but
or not even neglect. Like, it is because of my own hangups. It is so hard for me when anyone is angry with me,
right,
that I'm incapable of setting a boundary, even if I kind of on some level know it's the best thing for my kids.
Right. But also what I'm saying is like, it starts with a loving parent that
right.
is like, and so that's why it's so hard. But you see it all the time where there's like authoritative, whatever parent holding the line, kid is very well behaved. Then you go to, it's like they're with the other parent on a solo situation. The authoritative parent is not around and it's just pandemonium.
Yeah.
And these, it's tough. And that's where like getting on the same page is so important. But also, how do you want to get into it? Like, I know you had more.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to, because I do think that like, it is good that I operate with my kids differently than my wife does. Like, and they have super different relationships with it. Like, they want to play with me more. They want to snuggle with her more. They want to like, there's a spontaneity and like, what are we going to do next? That ends up being pretty collaborative with me and my kids. If we have time to kill, like we figure out what we're going to do together that I really like. But there's also a level of predictability to the way that my wife, like, she's just more comfortable operating within kind of a predictable schedule. I guess what I want to do is let me start with a statement and see what you think.
Yeah. Love it.
The rules at our house about how you treat each other. Roughly when bedtime is, because bedtime's a little more flexy when it's just the one of us, but it's not like, we're like doing lines at midnight.
Right. Conga lines. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, conga lines. What did you think? Jesus, Max. These are children.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, continue.
Settle down. But like the rules, there needs to be consistency to the rules.
Totally.
But in terms of the way you interact with them, play with them, the activities you get up to together, that should be as different as you, the parents, are.
You made me think of like 3 different things. I'll only remember 2. One is like, you expose the kids to so many different people. If you're the same exact person, this is a weird way to think about it, but you're really only exposing them to one type of human being. Whereas like, think about the relationship you have with your kids. I think about this sometimes, like hundreds of millions of moments. Like I'm with my kids so fucking much. Like when people who don't have kids who are pregnant or something, and they're like, I'm worried about, like how it's going to go. It's like, how am I going to make sure that they understand values? It's like, broski, you're going to be with this kid
so much.
Stop. Like more than you are with your own thoughts.
Yeah. Which also like brings you back to the, like, don't totally hammer yourself over like mishandling one bedtime.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bedtimes. Yeah.
Right. So one, I think that there's a huge positive in that. Okay. Mm-hmm. 2, in terms of that study, the compensatory. Yeah. Compensatorial. Yep. Mm-hmm. The compensatorial effects, it just happens. Like, you know how sometimes like one of you is mad, either you or your partner, and the other one like immediately is like
the Dalai Lama. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And it's like, even if one is usually the mad one, the minute the other one gets mad, the other one's like, okay, everybody, let's stay calm. Like, I've never heard of 2 parents being mad at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like, I think that, you know, my wife and I are both cuddly, but like, you know, we both kind of do crafts, but like my wife is more of the craft person or something. And my wife leans more on doing certain, like, I don't know. I think that that just naturally happens. And I think it's also good for the kids to know how to work 2 people differently. And, you know, I kind of like when they try to play us off each other. It's annoying as hell in the moment, but that sort of social awareness to understand that there's 2 different people. It's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, it's the same. Interestingly, it's the same reason that both you and I have always, I think, kind of like disliked the super prescriptive parenting guidance, because it's like, as soon as you're like, when they do this, you do this, what you're doing is removing your individual relationship from them. And part of what you're giving them practice in is relating to people. So as soon as you're not a person, you're like a formula, then you've kind of actually, you're not giving your kids an experience that's pretty important.
You know, honestly, we could just literally just carve something into stone and it would solve every episode. But I think the biggest thing is communication with your partner, because a lot of times this goes off the rails. Like if you're not checking yourself while you're wrecking yourself. Like, for example, if I start blurring the lines on something, like on bedtime, and I'm never helping enforce the bedtime. If we actually just sit down and talk, it's like, okay, we want the bedtime to be X. But if we have friends over and I'm pushing it later, like that's not fair to my partner. And that can be the source of whatever. I mean, you saw that study when the parents aren't happy with each other.
I do think like the other reason communication is really important. And I wonder if this happens, if this is why you get into the, like, it's dad's rules thing being super fraught, is like my wife is just home more during the day because she works part-time and I work full-time. So a lot of the way our house operates, she has more of a say in than I do. So, like, it would be natural that, like, maybe if I left for a weekend, it would continue to operate a little more similarly with her than it would with me. And I think that that's, like, I mean, we've talked about this before. That's a tricky thing to navigate, is like, as a dad, especially if the primary parent less of the time. I don't want to say, like, if you're not the primary parent. Cause like I do want like my wife to be able to leave. She's just left for like almost a week and I was the primary parent. And like often on a weekend day, I will be the primary parent because I can't. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm a small business owner. I work my ass off. And so she's the primary parent more of the time. And because of that, I remember you gave this guy a voice. You don't want to be the dad who comes over and is like, yeah, we're not fucking doing it that way.
Yeah.
Make me a sandwich. Let me tell you how things work around here.
Yeah. It was the one with Sam Stolper. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, what are you doing? You doing what? Kid's got a stutter? He's going to a thing? No, we ain't doing any.
We ain't doing any of that shit. Yeah, that guy. So you don't want to be that guy, but what can happen is then that like the way the family operates and the rules are getting set more by the mom. And maybe there's more good reasons for that, but then you can see as a dad, like some dads starting to feel like, well, these aren't my rules. This isn't the way I would do it. And then you get some of that like disconnect. This, of course, could also go the other way. If there's like, I have friends who are moms who work more of the hours and their dads are home with the kids more. And then that dynamic kind of gets flipped. But I think that's another good reason.
But yes and no, because I agree. But this is why it can't just be like, hey, what are you doing with the kids? No. Like, it can't be that. But if it's like, oh, part of the things that you talk about at night, maybe you do like 20 minutes a day. Hi, how was the kids' day? Oh, what are you struggling with, babe? Ah, shit, that sucks. And maybe it's not like, cause I've learned this over the 41 years of my life. I usually was always like, babe, what you got to do is this. Here's the answer. It's not about that. It's about like understanding, making sure that we have that like common dialogue with like, what are the general frustrations of raising the kids? Because even if the wife is doing, or the husband is doing 80% of the stuff, you can still be that sounding board, one, to just be someone who relates to your partner. Say, hey, let's chat about that. What are you going through? Man, that is annoying. Like changing our insurance or, doing the whatever pediatrician stuff, like whatever, like that's all annoying. Oh, how can we chat about that? Oh, okay. Like, and then you can actually maybe provide feedback in the 12th hour after you've talked about it for a few weeks. And it's
right.
But like, if we're not in there, I felt that sometimes like, ooh, I'm really not in this. Mm-hmm. I should try to understand for a couple combos before I try to. Well, like, hey, what do you want? Let me tell you a thing or two about raising.
Yeah. You don't open your mouth until you know what the.
But another thing that's really interesting is like understanding who you are. Because I think a lot of frustration comes when we expect the other parent to parent like we do. So we've had a lot of conversations, my wife and I, about like, look, I'm different. I do it a little different. Let's agree on what are the ground rules? Bedtime, out the door, snack times, food, this, like, discipline, climbing on tables, putting their stuff away. Like, what are the things we actually like? These are foundational. The other stuff, whatever. Because if you don't have these conversations and don't know thyself, it can lead to a lot of like malcontent. Like, for example, this is like a good example of my wife knowing herself really well and having the confidence to do this. So we were going to go on a ski trip during February break with some friends. We go on a ski trip every February. And I got the NBC Olympics job doing the skimo commentator thing.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm going to be the commentator in the Olympics for skimo. It's a new Olympic sport.
We will plug the shit out of that as it draws near. Yeah. So my wife texted the friends, just like we chatted about it for a second. She's like, I can't go on that trip. And there's another single mom that goes on that trip and she handles it. But my wife's like, yeah, I can't do it without Max. Like Max is like he's so helpful at those things. I'm not doing it. And they're like, we'll help you, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to. Doesn't sound fun.
Like getting 3 kids into ski gear, out of ski gear, skiing with them all day where you're afraid they're going to jam themselves into a tree because they're skiing like gnarly shit. It's like, I don't want to do it without Max. And I'm going to go to somewhere else. But, like otherwise, I think we get into these things where she would try to be like me, can juggle all this chaos. Mm-hmm. Or if I really like bum myself out this weekend and was like, okay, well, my wife would be doing this and I'm going to, cook dinner every night and I'm going to put him to bed at the normal hour. Okay. We're going to push bedtime maybe like 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's get wild. Let's do conga line.
Yeah. We're going to go to bed at like 8:45 instead of 8:15. What? Yeah. Don't tell mommy. Like those are just like little things. And like, I know myself and it's still within our operating parameters and it's going to be fine. And
you know what? I was talking we have some really good family friends and the mom is, one of my wife's best friends. They're both therapists. And the dad's a great guy, and he and I get along really well. And also, my wife gets along with her husband, and I get along with her. We've kind of got and then we got our daughters are like super tight, and now my youngest daughter's playing with their younger son really well. Anyways, it's just it's like, come over on Saturday, no plan. There'll be a football game on TV, and we'll hang out for 7 hours. It's really, really nice. And I was talking to the other mom about this, about just kind of how symbiotic it is. And she was saying the other good thing is she's like, we parent pretty similarly, and the places where we parent differently, we still trust each other's judgment. And that I thought was a good summation of like, they don't do everything exactly like we do. And they're not even like, they're somewhat religious in a way that we're not. They're like, we vote for different people. So there's no expectation that like they're the same or that they'd handle every situation the same, but there is trust. And I think that that's another big thing. Interestingly, one of the other comments on this social media thing about like, hey, your wife should be able to leave for a while. There's a dad that commented, he's like, I've seen it both ways. I've seen like deadbeat dads that just can't hack it, and so their wives never get to go on vacation. It's like, I've also seen moms that are so fucking controlling about the way things go that the dad doesn't even feel like they get to take a shot. Now, it's probably never entirely one or the other. Like, mom's trust has to be earned. Those are her young. I do think that like it's like you're going to do it differently, but within these parameters, there's certain things that are non-negotiable, like about safety or about like, you can't totally fuck your kids sleep. When your wife gets home from her girls' weekend, their kids can't have gotten 3 hours of sleep every night. What's most important is like, we don't always necessarily have the exact same judgment, but I trust you completely.
Yeah.
And that's got to be earned. That has to be earned.
Totally. One little sidebar just to get so fucking round, we maybe go past the Schwarzschild radius and turn into a fucking black hole. In that second study, which became the first study, there was a new type of parenting that emerged, and it was called intrusive. And you made me think of it, and I forgot to mention. Low warmth and rules, but elevated psychological control. Oh. Better than authoritarian. So you'd rather have this like psycho parent who's like, don't do this, don't do that. But after authoritarian,
the worst.
It was the worst. So just keep that in mind. Because I haven't heard a ton of studies about that, like helicopter, whatever. But like there is that thing where you see people who like are joysticking their kids. Like, I mean, I've been known to say, what do you say? Thank you. Like, yeah, whatever. That's normal, I guess. But like, there's some serious joysticking, like just forcing the kid, like, don't think, don't think that way. Don't do this way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's
on that happy note, kids are being joystick and oppressed all over the country, all over the world.
I got one more thing and then we'll close it up because I think we're about good. I think we've kind of got so this puts two ideas together that I heard recently. And what you were saying at the beginning about kind of authoritarian parenting made me think of it. So I was watching this interview with this guy and he was actually breaking parents down into 4 quadrants. And basically the 2 factors were warm or kind of cold aloof, and then like predictable boundaries versus totally permissive, like anything goes. And he said that the children of parents who were cold but consistent had better outcomes than the children of parents who were warm but more chaotic. And when I first heard this, I was like, I don't know. Like, really? It just felt like hard to believe to me. But I was talking to my wife, so I need to credit her because she and the woman that leads her organization just led this big training of a bunch of therapists and equine professionals and folks about brain development. And she was talking about why predictability is so important for kids. So we've talked about on this show before that in adulthood, like your and my brains are largely prediction agents. They take in what's happening now and they remember everything that happened before, and they try to predict what's going to happen next and what our response should be. And then if that prediction is wrong, then we correct, right? And actually, this is fucking nuts to me. Our brains are scanning for danger 4 times a second. So as an adult, and God, that seems like when you become a parent, that doubles. But like, you're just kind of always scanning your environment for danger. Now, a 2-year-old, and by the way, I think a 3-year-old, their brain is like 70 to 80% development. So like, most of your brain happens super early. A 2-year-old is not predicting so much. Mostly what they're doing is just tripping balls at the world coming at them. They are totally in the present, and they're not doing much prediction, right? But their prediction, they are establishing their prediction model. And so what a kid of that age reads as danger is essentially when something really unexpected happens.
Right. And also it's conditioning the brain to be like, hey, just so you know, the world is unpredictable. Like you probably over indexes on unpredictability.
Yeah.
And then your brain is like compensationing.
Compensationing, correct? Yeah. Nailed it.
Compenstructing.
That's too stupid. But it really kind of like, and by the way, one of the ways that like, they're like, one of the ways that therapy is evolving for a long time, like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is super, like, it's pretty effective and it's super commonly used. That's basically like, okay, your prediction method is a little bit wrong. And so you need to train your brain that when your body's like, I'm in danger, that your brain can be like, actually, you're not. Like, okay, you kind of know this. That like therapy that's happening more on the like the somatic, like body and brainstem level is now more about like giving you new experiences, which usually have to do with the relationships in your life that create a predictable, safe pattern. Why do I bring this up? The rules are important. The boundaries are important. The consistency of those boundaries are important. And that is why the unified front between you and your wife on things that are foundational is extremely important, because like the more a kid has a pretty predictable, and look, shit's gonna happen. Like your kid's gonna bang their head and get stitches. You're gonna, like, the world's the world, right? But the more like the relationships and the dynamic they have with their parents is predictable and consistent, the more they're gonna feel like the world is safe, and the more their prediction model leading into the future is going to serve them by being able to do things like think long term and be less ruled by anxiety and live less in fear and have relationships in which they feel like their connection is safe, all that stuff. So I just want to say that because that really like clicked something for me, that like, oh, this is why, like, you hear all the time, authoritative, consistency, boundaries, rules. This is why that's so important for kids.
Yeah, no, totally. And again, as long as your kid knows that you love them, you're good. But also, this is why we work on this. We've chatted about it before. I do it sometimes where, you're stressed out. And if I haven't done the waking up mindfulness thing in a while, I don't realize it. And I'm like, well, the kids are just all being shitty today.
Yeah.
Just happens to be that all 3 of them are all being shitty.
Yeah.
And has nothing to do with the fact that I got 4 hours of sleep and I'm a little bit turbo. I must be over-compendraticking about something.
Yeah. Like those asshole researchers. That's how they think. The ones that only care about the dudes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you could say that every night your kid going to bed knowing no matter what you love them, that is the ultimate relational predictability, right? That is the thing that balances against all of the normal.
Yeah, because like that's some real psychological warfare if your kid, like, you're like loving them, you're the most loving parent, and then you say some like gnarly shit like, I don't love you.
Yeah.
And then they have to go to bed one night thinking their parents don't love them.
Or like what my 3-year-old says to me every night, you're not my dad. Not every night. She says it to me like once a month, whoever's putting her to bed, she'll turn on him and the other parent will have to step in. So like once a month, either my wife or I gets disowned and told that she only loves the other parent.
If you don't have your shit together on that one, that'll That'll get to you.
That's a lot of deep breathing right there. Yeah, that'll get you. All right, homie. Well, hey, thanks for the Instagram comment. That's been kind of a lively conversation on that post. And
yeah, I can see it's been tearing you up. Like, you been sleeping? You all right?
I'm good. I got a good night's sleep last night. Yeah, but I do, people get upset on Instagram and I'm like, I shouldn't care, but I did. Fuck.
This episode of Milkless is brought to you by Violet Archer in the case of the Purple Martin. Thank you. Bye.